A lot of parents come to me and they mention that their kids want to hug them a lot and they are not comfortable with being hugged. And I want to talk about that in today's this small little video that I'm trying to talk and make. When my son was very little, like, when I used to breastfeed him, I have something over here, there's some black kind of a mole over here, okay? So what he used to do was he was constantly keep fidgeting and fidgeting and fidgeting and fidgeting. Initially, I used to be like, okay, it's fine. But then every time his hand went over here and he used to fidget, I used to be like, oh God, so angry. I mean, I never liked it. I mean, initially for some time it was okay, but when it goes beyond a point that you can tolerate, it becomes irritating. And I know my child is doing it for regulating himself, and that's his way to calm himself down, and all of that. I was aware, but it was irritating to me. Another child, and she came to our center. The mother, she was sitting, and this part over here, this part, she would just keep touching it like this all the time. She would come, touch it, and go, this way, and then go and play again. So she went on doing this again and again and again and again and again and again. And this mother was getting irritated. She was very unhappy. She started wearing full sleeves. I don't want her to keep touching me or I get irritated. That's what she told me. A third parent who comes to me, this boy would come, touch the lips like only over here with pressure and then go away. Again, come, touch the lips with deep pressure and then go away. And she said, I mean, once in a while it is okay. 2 times it's okay. 10 times it's okay. But I know I'm the mother and I know I shouldn't be complaining, but it gets too much. I can't take it. It's too much, too much, too much. And I need a break from that. Another parent whose daughter wants a lot of hugs, she says, I don't want these hugs so many times in a day. Sometimes it's not socially appropriate. I can teach my child and daughter that she shouldn't be doing that. It irritates me more than that social appropriateness. It irritates me. So I don't know if you can relate to all this that I'm saying. Some kids have this need. I had this boy who used to come to my center, hold me here, press it, and then play again. Again, after a while, he would come with both hands, press me over here, and then go again. I was like, again and again and again. And, it gets irritating after a point. Why am I sharing all of it? Because I know that the child needs those particular, and child is engaging in those behaviors because child wants to feel regulated, child wants to feel calmer. But then how much would you take and how much? I mean, one parent told me, like, I'm on the verge of a meltdown myself. I can't take it anymore and it's getting too much for me. Then what do we do about it? How do we work on it? How do we manage that the balance is maintained where I am a mother, I am allowing my child to engage in those behaviors, but at the same time, how to take care of your own emotional well-being also. That is the balance which is very important. So I just wanted to say two, three things if you can relate to this. One is kids do that because it's a way to regulate themselves. Those are anchor points. Some of them do that. Many of them do that to kind of regulate themselves or to, like it can be something like I come and I go and I get that proprioceptive dose that I needed and I go back feeling more regulated. I come here, I press here, I get that proprioceptive dose and I go back. So when I see those things, I am going to become curious and understand what is it, what is this input that the child wants, and am I giving that input in general on a regular basis? Meaning, if the child comes and puts that pressure with the lips on the top of my head, I know he needs deep pressure on the lips. Am I giving him that input in general on a regular basis? If when he comes and tightly holds me here, the child wants something around his hand. So, is he getting enough of that input on a regular basis or on a daily basis? Those are certain things that I would want to consider. So, first thing is if you feel uncomfortable by it, tolerating it because you are the parent and you should be allowing, I don't think that makes any sense. So, setting boundaries is very important. Setting boundaries with your own child, yeah, it's very important. So when my son used to go on and on, he was very little, I used to be like, enough. I used to give him to my mom, because she will take care of him. So taking that little break that was needed is important. So if your child is doing it too often to you and you are getting too irritated, setting a boundary, creating a social story where you talk about when, or setting up a time rather, like, so this girl's social story, because this girl would hug her mom at all times, but I would create a social story as to when hugging is allowed, and at other times how can I provide that input so that she does not engage in those behaviors so much as she is engaging in. This will not take away the behavior, but these are some strategies that have worked for me, and I thought I should share it with you. So, one is creating boundaries, which means asking for help. Sometimes I don't know about you, a lot of mothers who come to me, they feel they are the ones who should be doing everything for the child, every single thing. Self help skills, taking them out for a walk, doing the therapy at home, cooking, putting them to sleep, everything the mother should do. But then, there are other people in the house. You can ask grandmom to do something. You can ask your husband to do something. And if you have no help at all, you can have somebody who can help you out. I know a lot of parents who send their kids to school, not just because, they want their kids to be in school, but also that they need that break for themselves. So asking for a break does not make you feel guilty. Don't make feel guilty if you want a break for yourself. So that is one, setting boundaries, creating, asking for help from people, or creating a routine where your child can be with others also, so that you get that little break that you need and you can go back, because we all love our kids. We want to help them out. We want to be with them. But then sometimes we want that little space for our own self. And if you need that, it's absolutely okay. So one is that, that's one thing, which is boundary setting. Second is identifying what is the need of my child. And is this need, sensory need, being met throughout the day through other activities which would help him or her in those same behaviors? Thirdly, I would have a social story if those behaviors are inappropriate. When I have a social story explains in detail about what is expected, what is not expected. It has a lot of details. I'll make a video on what is a social story once and I can share it with you. But social story is like a visual representation of what all you're supposed to do, where you're supposed to do. You can have a discussion, like how we set up a screen time for kids, that in the evenings you get it, or in the mornings you get it. So that way, a time where you can come and hug me. But at other times you feel like doing it, you can go and hug Dadi, you can go and hug Nani, or whosoever is available. But yeah, again, hugging as a behavior will not be, like to everyone else. And if it's a girl child, I will of course not encourage it. Then I would say, what are the other sensory, what are the ways by which I can provide that same sensory input to my child? That's what I would take care of. So social stories, preparing the child well in advance and setting up those pointers that this is the time that you can engage in these behaviors, otherwise you cannot. It's not. And yeah, child learns impulse control. I know that child wants to do and engage in those self-stimulatory behaviors for a reason. Provide it in other ways, so if it could be a teddy bear that a child can hug, it can be a big size soft toy that a child can hug. But when hugging mom can be done only at these specific times, so that sense has to be developed over a period of time. I'm not saying that that's the only way that I work on. I also take care that we are providing the sensory, what you call strategies, and we're not taking that away. So if a child was coming and hugging me like this, I would give him something that he can hold on nice and strong, and I'm going to just shape that behavior a little differently. But in general, when the intervention session is going on, when you're working with your occupational therapist, you can provide this feedback to them, and they could give you a home program which would help you to manage those behaviors better. What I'm only trying to share is that your well-being is also equally important. You can't be like, okay, no problem, I will manage it, I will tolerate it. In that state, you cannot help your child. Most of these mothers who came to me, they were really distressed, by those behaviors. And if you're distressed, how would you help your child? So your well-being is equally important. If you need time for yourself, don't feel guilty about it. Small reminder, I don't know if this helps you. If you have any more comments related to what I spoke, I would love to receive them. I would love to make more video on this topic or any such query which comes to your mind. Thank you.